Coming up on today's video, Karen de la Carriere and her husband Jeffrey Augustine filed false police reports and were trying to file criminal charges against me for extortion and harassment. Karen is trying to use the police as a weapon to try to intimidate me and strong-arm me in order to remove my videos and to stop speaking up about her. Karen and her husband are applying Scientology's fair game tactics ever since I released my video series about her in order to try to destroy me and my credibility at all costs. Just like with Scientology, Karen wants to try to frame me as a criminal in order to ruin my credibility so people don't believe Steve Mango, what I have to say in my video series where I exposed Karen, independent Scientology, and the ex-Scientology cult. Hey guys, and welcome back to Mangotology. If you're new here, let me introduce myself to you. My name is Steven Mango, and I'm an ex-Scientologist that works here on YouTube to expose Scientology. If you'd like to stay up to date on all my videos, please make sure to go down below and hit that red subscribe button and turn on your bell notifications, and you'll get an alert whenever I release a new video exposing Scientology. And for today's video, we are going to be talking about how Karen de la Carriere and her husband Jeffrey Augustine contacting the LAPD and filing a false police report against me for criminal charges regarding extortion, the series that I did on Karen, independent Scientology, and the anti-Scientology cult. If you haven't already seen this explosive video series, you can do so by going onto my channel or going into the description box of this video, and I'm going to link all three parts down below. I'm going to tell you everything that's going on regarding that, what I spoke to the detective at the LAPD about yesterday, give you guys the final update on everything that's been going on with regard to the series that I made, and the final concluding episode and update on the ex-Scientology community. If you're interested in hearing the update, then keep on watching. Hi again, guys. So very briefly before we begin today's video, I just want to let you all know that I had surgery last Wednesday. Everything's okay and everything went really well. It was an elective plastic surgery procedure, so it was of my own doing, and that was with regard to getting a chin implant, which is something I wanted for like the last 10 years. So I finally got the procedure done, and bringing this up as well, besides just telling you guys that I'm alive and I'm okay, was that it's still kind of hard for me to talk and to enunciate my words properly because my jaw obviously was cut into, so it's just kind of painful for me to speak, as well as I look a little bit different. I'm sporting this beard, I'm swollen, and I can't shave for 2 weeks, so I am just doing my best to kind of recover from that. So for all you guys who've been asking if I'm okay, where did I go, I was in surgery and have been in the recovery process. Everything is going smoothly. I'm not at my final result yet, but again, that's for another channel and another video update. So yesterday, I was in bed planning to go to take a shower for the day, and I was getting my phone charger to plug in my phone when I noticed that I just missed a phone call. And it said it was from an unknown number. So I don't know about you guys, but for some reason, even though I'm on the do not call list, I somehow get flooded with like all these different spam calls. It's everything from you hit the lottery to it's the Social Security Administration. What's your Social Security number? It's the home roof repair warranty people that are calling, solar panels. I just get all these like different weird spam calls, so when I get unknown numbers, I just don't answer the phone. As well as after coming out of Scientology, I used to be on their list for every single org, like basically around the world, so I used to get calls from like, it could be anywhere from Australia, Florida calling, Boston, London org, it could just be like every single random Scientology entity, so I just kind of learned not to answer the phone because it was probably Scientology trying to get money from me or trying to get me to come back on services. So I've honestly been kind of like scared ever since to kind of like answer the phone and be confronted on the telephone, so it's kind of a weird thing with me. So I kind of do more of my conversations with people via text. But I checked the voicemail, and the person that was on the voicemail was a detective, was identifying himself from the Los Angeles Police Department. So obviously I'm not like on the run from law enforcement. I don't get myself in trouble. I never even like got a detention in high school. Like, just like the point is like I'm like peace and harmony for all. What does the LAPD want to do with me, and how could I assist them in some way? Because they said it's a repeated instance of something that's going on. So again, I'm in bed all day, number one. Number two, it's quarantine coronavirus time, so it's not like I've left the house in months besides getting surgery. So I was just kind of really confused what was going on. My husband Jeff was telling me too that there was a robbery robbery or a break-in that was going on down the street. So I was thinking maybe it had something to do with that because I'm a homeowner in the area. So I just didn't really understand what police would want from me, as well as when I started texting some of my friends, like the LAPD was contacting me like, what in the world could this even be about? Like, oh, it's probably just a scam call. Maybe someone's just trying to get your information or someone pranking you. So that's basically the reasoning that I was having behind it until I Googled the phone number and I saw that it actually was tied to the LAPD. So then I was just really curious. I said, you know what, let me just give them a call back quickly to see like what this is like in regard to. I reached the detective right away and he identifies himself. He knew who I was right on the first call. Like, I'm like, oh, my name is Steven Mango. He's like, oh, yes. What do you know about Carriere and Jeffrey Augustine? I'm like, oh boy, here we go. What now? So I actually even thought maybe other people, after seeing my video, decided to speak up about Karen. Maybe she was doing the same sort of auditing scam on other people, or other people might have been reporting her to the LAPD, maybe thinking that they were getting ripped off for auditing. Because again, she's not a licensed therapist. She can't be offering marriage counseling, for example. She's not a licensed marriage and family counselor in California. You can't bill yourself as a therapist and not actually be a counselor, right? So again, I thought maybe people are coming forward, but apparently Miss De La Carriere, and I kind of joke and I call her Dear Leader Carriere because she's basically like a cult leader in my opinion with how she operates her community of the other ex-Scientologists, which we're going to get to, how others have been kind of destroying me behind the scenes and disconnect from me. That update's coming at the end of this video as well, so stay tuned for that. But again, with regard to the police, he was saying that Karen and Jeffrey have been contacting them repeatedly. I'm going to explain to you guys as well what is going on and why they're doing this and how this is basically out of the Scientology playbook. So they're repeatedly calling the LAPD, trying to report Steve Mango. So whether that's phone calls, emails, but the detective said, and he knows I'm making this video because I did inform him I'm making a video discussing this to put it to rest, but I was advised that she's been contacting them nonstop. And with everything that's going on in the world, whether that's Black Lives Matter, whether that's people saying to defund the police, that's also with regard to Karen's own viewpoint of the police. And Karen is posting about how LAPD is in the back pocket of Scientology and how their Scientology ties to the LAPD. And she goes and, after trashing them on one token, she goes and is willing to call them, knowing that they may, in her eyes, be corrupt enough to try to ruin Steve Mango's life. Even when I'm trying to get my life back on track, I didn't do anything wrong, guys. Just that if she was trying to set me up to the police, the point being that I feel like she feels that maybe she could use her influence in order to try to get the police to investigate me, in order to try to strong arm me, or try to get me arrested or try to press criminal charges against me for something that I never actually even did. So again, I have seen photos of Karen, and if I have them, I'll place them in here, where Karen has been with LAPD and with the fire department, her and Jeffrey Augustine, and they donate their Thomas Kincaid paintings because they have like this art gallery, and they'll donate paintings, I'm sure giving money, again, using Scientology's playbook to try to influence the police, like, hey, we're big donors, or we have done all this for the police, like, why aren't you taking our complaints seriously? So as you can see here, Karen is with her husband Jeffrey Augustine at the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, gifting them with a Thomas Kincaid painting. I can't confirm or deny that this is also accompanied by checks or donations, but it wouldn't surprise me. In this photo, you can see her husband Jeffrey wearing a tuxedo, it seems like, gifting police officers with the Thomas Kincaid painting, and over here with the Los Angeles Fire Department gifting them with another painting. Not sure again if they are also giving financial donations, but this is actually straight from the Scientology playbook and something that L. Ron Hubbard has devised, but Karen is doing it for her quote-unquote public relations, as if she's Madonna or a huge public figure that she needs to try to do different things in order to look like she's a charitable, wonderful person. And like you can see in these photos with David Miscavige, he's with other city, different elected officials and religious leaders, and they pose for photographs to try to legitimize the Scientology religion and act like they're these upstanding members of our society. So this is what Karen is replicating to do. And she's hoping when she is getting into good favor with the police and with the fire department or just whomever, she's hoping that when she needs a favor to call on them, she already has the reputation of having looked like she's doing these good works of faith, but really it's just so when she needs them to intimidate someone or to buy off the police more or less, in order to get her way and to look like, hey, I'm the one who's donating to the police department, not Steve Mango, for example. So why aren't you guys acting on my complaints that I'm making? So that's what she's trying to achieve. So again, that's something I could elaborate on a little bit later into this video, because I have to tell you what they're alleging is going on and why the LAPD was investigating me for whatever it's worth. So just the point that Karen is very hypocritical with how she deals with the police and how she tries to use and buy influence, just like how Scientology does, because she used to volunteer for OSA allegedly, and she has a very similar mindset of attacking and destroying people she perceives as her critics. She could have the right to free speech, but if I share my honest, truthful experience with all the proof about what she did to me to scam me when I was leaving Scientology, then somehow she has the right to call the police when I have the First Amendment right to be able to express and have free speech. So again, it was just very confusing when the police was telling me what was going on. So, and carrying along with the story, since I know I get kind of went off into different various subsectors of the story, but point blank, they were saying that she's been contacting them so repeatedly that they have to look into this. And obviously I understand if you're making a complaint, if she's saying that she's this elderly woman being extorted by an individual, what is the LAPD going to think? And given that they have so many much more bigger problems to face in Los Angeles, never mind just with the police in general in our country and the world, I just feel like the police are targeted, and there's so much going on that when someone's saying, hey, you're not doing your job, what are they going to do? They're going to have to look into the issue. So essentially what they were filing reports on me were saying that I was trying to extort Karen regarding the series of videos I made, that I was harassing and slandering and coming after this older couple. Again, I can't believe I'm even saying these words out of my mouth, and I was so flabbergasted that she's contacting the police, meaning that I'm extorting her over my video series. Now, what even is extortion? I'm going to read you the definition so you guys know from the law exactly what it means to extort someone. Under California Penal Code Section 518 PC, extortion, commonly referred to as blackmail, is a criminal offense that involves the use of force or threats to compel another person into providing money or property, or using force or threats to compel a public official to perform or neglect an official act or duty. Often the victims of extortion feel compelled to comply due to the extortionist's threats. Extortion is a felony offense that can result in lengthy prison sentences. In order to prove a charge of extortion by threat or force, a prosecutor must be able to establish the following elements. The defendant either threatened to unlawfully injure another person, threatened to accuse someone else of a crime, or C, threatened to expose a secret of another person. 2. When making the threat or using force, the defendant intended to use that fear or force to obtain the other person's consent, money, property, or have that other person perform an official act. 3. As a result of the threat or use of force, the other person consented to the defendant's demands. 4. And as a result of the threat or use of force, the other person complied with the defendant's demands. When dealing with extortion, consent can be coerced or unwilling, as long as it is given as a result of the wrongful use of force or fear. The threat must be controlling reason that the other person consented. Threatening to do something that a person has a legal right to do is not a threat to commit an unlawful injury. As you guys can see, I clearly didn't extort Karen de la Carriere. I don't even care about money. The motivation behind this video number 1, was just exposing independent Scientology. You guys can go back and look at that video. I did not say her name once. It was just like when I sit down and plan, what am I going to talk about for a video today? I never made a video talking about independent Scientology. And I honestly was scared to because of my experiences with Karen de la Carriere. And explain why I didn't deal with a lot of things privately with her and why I decided to end up making the video. So I made that video and I didn't even say her name, but accidentally on one of the direct messages, you could see a little miniature photo from Facebook because I didn't blur out the side photo of her. And that's when other people knew I was talking about Karen. When Karen started to fair game me, like what Scientology does in order to slander, attack, destroy a perceived critic, which she was doing to me, getting everyone to unfriend me, writing to every single person allegedly, and trying to get them to disconnect from me. What else am I going to do and say, hey, you know what? She's lining up to everything that was my suspicion of how she behaves if you fall out of favor or she can no longer have control over you. I'm sure you guys have seen that quote before around on the internet where it goes something along the lines of, if a toxic person can't control you, then they try to control how other people perceive you. The quote goes, when a toxic person can no longer control you, they will try to control how others see you. The misinformation will feel unfair, but stay above it, trusting that other people will eventually see the truth, just like you did. So Karen was trying to destroy me behind the scenes and my credibility and try to get me out of the picture because I was willing to speak up about her because I was no longer able or under her control of her very powerful influence in the ex-Scientology world. So when I'm speaking to him, I'm explaining all of this to him about being a public figure of sort on YouTube and how I was in a number of videos and news stories and things exposing Scientology, and I'm a whistleblower and I expose things on Mangotology. Karen is also a public figure. She was behind or some sort of consultant on the My Scientology movie. She was somehow involved with the HBO production of Going Clear. She's been credited on Leah Remini's Scientology in the aftermath. She's someone who is a public figure of sort as well. She has a YouTube channel. It's not like she's some random old lady next door. She's someone who has 30-something thousand subscribers, millions of views. She's been on news segments and has been all over the place as one of the top critics exposing Scientology. So I was explaining this to the officer about how she was like a motherly figure to me, and over time of manipulation, she deceived me out of $7,500, wanted another $10,000 for marriage counseling, and I gave him the whole entire rundown in like 15 minutes of everything that was involving my relationship of sort with Karen and her husband, Jeffrey Augustine. So keep in mind, Jeffrey Augustine, her husband's a private investigator. He had a private investigator that used to either come and work for them, like I don't know if it was a full-time job or I'm not sure exactly what the relationship was, but this private investigator used to stay at their house. Can't think of the guy's name off the top of my head. I think his name was Gary, but don't quote me on that. They have all these security cameras in their house, and Gary would like kind of feed Karen and Jeffrey Augustine information like, hey, we're kind of looking into this route of information. We're looking into this about Scientology, trying to research these other people. So their whole way they operate is almost like a spy movie, and they're paranoid in that respect. I understand with Scientology, you have to kind of keep an eye on all corners, so I kind of understand that, but it goes so much more deeper than that. So there's a whole sinister side of Karen and Jeffrey, which I'm going to be talking about, of what they've been doing. I mean, if this isn't already enough. But when I'm talking to the detective, he's like, yeah, you know what, they've been flooding with calls and things. And I'm like, I'm sorry that they're doing that to you guys. Like, it's honestly wasting your time. And filing a police report is actually a misdemeanor if you're filing a false police report. Penal Code 148.5 PC is the California statute that makes it illegal to make a false police report of a crime. The report could be of a misdemeanor or a felony offense. False reporting is only a crime if the person making the report knows it to be false. The offense is punishable by up to 6 months in jail. 148.5 PC that every person who reports to any peace officer, the Attorney General or a Deputy Attorney General or a District Attorney or a Deputy District Attorney that a felony or misdemeanor has been committed, knowing the report to be false, is guilty of a misdemeanor. Penalties. A violation of this law is a misdemeanor. The offense is punishable by custody in county jail for up to 6 months and or a maximum fine of $1,000. A judge can award misdemeanor or a summary probation in lieu of jail time. But the idea and the intention behind this was to strong-arm me in order to try to get me to take my videos down, to squash my free speech, and not to mention Karen and Jeffrey on YouTube. He was basically saying, like, how can we resolve this? Because if it gets off of his desk, it's going to go into their high crimes unit, and then it's getting into actual, like, looking into the possibility of this being a crime and doing the whole entire criminal thing. But again, she's trying to press criminal charges against me. So you guys have to understand, as I'm in my own lane, I haven't made a video about her in months. I make hundreds of videos about Scientology, and yes, I've experienced some fair game at the hands of Scientology, but I'm experiencing worse in the last couple of weeks with regard to Karen de la Carriere, of all people, and dealing with her dirty tricks against me in order to, again, assume ultimate power as this Scientology critic. So when I'm talking to the detective, I'm telling him, I'm putting the videos out there. The first video, I didn't even mention her name. The other videos were after she starts forgiving me, I started just talking and opening up about my experience with Karen from, all the receipts, everything that I've shown you guys about everything that happened, and just opened up about my story. I'm not slandering her, because everything I stand by 100% and on the Bible would take the stand in court and would testify 100% on every single thing I said. Not one thing I said was a stretch of the imagination or was just made up out of thin air. Everything was from experience. You could subpoena my phone records. You can look at all my text messages. You can look at my Facebook direct messages. I have nothing to hide on this matter. You can contact PayPal and get all the PayPal receipts from the years ago when I was with Karen. There's nothing that doesn't line up appropriately, right? So I don't have anything to hide with that sort of thing. So when I was telling the officer, and he's like, oh, can you leave her name out of it, like when you make the next video and other things, I said, you know what, I have the right to tell my story and speak out about this, and I'm not going to let someone try to use the police to make false reports or also just to make up stories in order to get me to be nervous or scared, like, oh my god, the police are involved, I'm just going to take the videos down, I don't want to deal with Karen, or this sort of situation, like this is getting out of hand, in order to like remove the videos. Like, think about that. Like, could you imagine if Scientology called the police and said Steve Mango is kidnapping a Sea Org member in his home or something, and they say, well, if you take down the videos, then we won't call the cops, or now that the police are involved, and therefore you have to take all your videos down that you ever made about Scientology because we allege a false crime against you. Do you guys have to see that? It's totally like mind-blowing that they did this to me. And then other people are like, oh yeah, but you requested a refund from Karen and asked for her to pay you back. Okay, to request a refund from someone is a whole different kettle of fish. Extortion would be, hey, I'm gonna keep your secrets for you, Karen. I won't tell people that you're auditing people behind the scenes or whatever. Just, you know, give me a nice payday, give me like $20,000 or something like that. Or else, you know, I have all the information I could ever need to release everything out into the public. That would be extorting someone. That would be blackmail. That would be criminal activity. Making videos exposing everything that happened with my relationship with Karen and sharing my truth, and then requesting a refund from an individual after they rightfully scammed me. I already was putting out videos. That's not what extortion is, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I mean? So just completely crazy. I know you guys know, but I'm just explaining this just to show you guys like how wacky it is that someone's gonna go and call the police on me. Because again, with these type of people, they could frame you just like Scientology and trying to ruin your life, because what someone like Karen wants is to discredit me, just like Scientology would. Scientology, for example, would go when people are protesting and they want to film you. So the second your big toe goes onto their property accidentally on the sidewalk, what do? Call the cops. They have it on video. They show you protesting, holding the signs. Then they could eventually build up a claim against you to say, hey, he's disrupting religious services. Look at how he's harassing the parishioners. And they're trying to build like a file for a case through the LAPD, for example. Scientology is a whole different ballgame than it is dealing with someone like Karen. But it's the similar playbook, as Karen as well worked for the dirty tricks department, allegedly, of Scientology, or volunteered, or just knows after so many years in Scientology, this is what you do. What Karen was doing behind the scenes over the last several weeks that line up to how she's been fair gaming me was what she's trying to do is, just like, and I told the police about this too, she made a whole video through Angry Gay Pope, who actually admitted that it was a Karen de la Carriere production with Jeffrey Augustine and Graham Berry. They alleged all these different things about my mental health, and they talked about my TikTok videos, trying to paint me off as like some sort of sexual pervert. I'm dancing with my shirt off and stuff like that. So as you can see here, the video was called Scientologist Cosmetologist Stephen Mango on Borderline of Sanity. And as you can see here, they put clips of funny videos that I made on my TikTok page. This one was seducing the halal guy for more white sauce, of me just dancing around, joking around, obviously. And over here is me in a wig. I have nothing to hide. This is all publicly available if you go onto my TikTok page. Me doing a dance to Britney Spears. But again, they're trying to paint it to the other, mostly elderly ex-Scientologist to try to show how 29-year-old Stephen Mango is crazy and he's on the borderline of having a mental breakdown, and look at how crazy he is in his blue lipstick with his poodle in the background as he whips his wig back and forth. So they're just trying to paint me off as being crazy. There's other little slides where you could see here where they were talking about my quote, strange marriage, and then Angry Gay Pope would go off on his voiceover style and discuss my marriage. And later on in the video about my borderline personality disorder, which is something I opened up and discussed here on my channel, very openly, making a video about how I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Again, having a mental health condition doesn't mean you're not credible when you're discussing or opening up about something that's really personal to you. So this is, again, just their propaganda video that they made to show to other ex-Scientologists to try to destroy my credibility in some way, which obviously didn't work. The first step in the fair game attack on me for speaking out about Karen audio auditing people and being hypocritical. Because let's face it, that's what it is. If you're taking Steve Mango into session and then around the same days you're on the ex-Scientology message board saying Scientology is a cult, it's a scam, it doesn't work. It's a moral thing more than anything, but it's just the hypocrisy of Karen willing to trash Scientology, but then someone who's broken $50,000 in the hole and is struggling, suicidal, overdosing, is willing to say, hey, just receive auditing from me, don't get medical help, don't seek therapy or medical services will undo the work that we did as the counselor. You have to go up the bridge and receive counseling. So the first step, though, was making this hate video about me. What she did was contact every single critic, ex-Scientologist, whomever, to warn them, don't watch the video series Steve Mango did. Steven Mango is mentally deranged, he's insane, he's mentally ill, he has all these different things. Watch this video about him first. Then, just like how Scientology enforces disconnection, what did Karen do? She said, don't have this connection. Why do you want to have him on your Facebook friend list, for example, or on social media? Don't talk to him, don't follow him, completely disconnect and remove him. Just watch this video about him. So when she plays this video of all the things that she is claiming that I'm on the borderline of insanity, she has to paint me off in a certain light. Just like when you leave Scientology, what do they say? Like they said about Karen, you're a prostitute, you're a criminal, you were removed from the ecclesiastical position in the church. And they come up with all these different lies, some things that are true, obviously, that Scientology gets from the pre-clear folders, but they make hate websites and all those sort of things. Just to show you guys an example, here is a hate page that they made on Karen, and it says, she worked as a casino croupier and a call girl, admitted later she had one-night stands with as many as 50 men, and they include emails, and they talk about Karen and how she allegedly was trying to rip off her accountant, and how the Los Angeles Superior Court didn't find her testimony to be credible, and they showed photos of her in states of undress, and this is just basically a standard hate website that Scientology makes in order to try to discredit people who have formerly been a part of the organization. And this is basically what Karen and the other ex-Scientologists are trying to replicate in order to try to ruin my name. So that's what Karen did to me. So all these critics, dozens and dozens and dozens, and I showed her some of the names, including people like Mike Rinder and Chris Shelton, and people who've also had a lot to say about me, but have removed me as Facebook friends. I even got this really weird message. I was at a spa getting a facial, and I got this message from this woman who I never really spoke to, but I think she was involved in the ex-Scientology circle. She might have left the church, but this is kind of shows you the proof of what they're saying about me, because everyone's message is the same. Let me just kind of show you this very quickly so you guys can get a brief idea of what these critics are saying as they disconnect from me. So out of the blue, this woman tried to call me on Facebook Messenger, and then I didn't answer, obviously, and she said, Steven, I'm worried about you. And I go, why is that? She goes, you seem to have lost your mind, and I don't want to see your posts any longer. And then she goes, I don't think it was funny when you posted an attack on Karen. So I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. And I go, excuse me, what was the attack? That she manipulated me when I was suicidal to not get help as I overdosed and demanded money? Meaning Karen demanding money from me to get more counseling. And there were multiple messages. I'm just going to read a couple more. And I was explaining here, I said, she told me not to get therapy or seek professional services and pay her more money. If you support that, then I don't know what to tell you. She goes, excuse me? I know the reality must be hard to confront, but you heard me. In my video, I show all the conversations and proof about this. She goes, I think you should lay off the drugs. And I go, excuse me, what drugs am I on, lady? And then I said, see, you were referring to Karen. And she goes, I guess it's funny when you hop around with your belly jiggling. So the only way she would have seen that is in the Angry Gay Pope hate video that Karen was sending around to people who we have mutual friends in common with that happen to be former Scientologists. And then she goes, that's what I mean. Have no idea of what you claim to know. So again, she didn't see any of my videos. She didn't see any of the 3 hours of content. And even though there's hours of footage where she could clearly get an understanding of what's going on, she doesn't have any idea of what I claim to know. Yeah, watch my video. And she goes, Karen is a good soul. And in this message, you guys can pause if you really want to read it. She basically said she knows Karen. And I said, did she put you up to this? You're right back into another cult with a highly toxic individual who says she is against Scientology and auditing, yet has a suicidal overdosing client, aka me, not to get real help, told me not to get therapy or seek professional services and pay her more money. And I go, if you support that, I don't know what to tell you. So it was just very clear and evident right from the beginning that she was told to disconnect from me because she said she just won't see my posts any longer. And then poof, another one bites the dust. As you guys can see, they always try to paint it as if they have like this racy content, and they won't even look at my videos about Karen, but they trust her word to the T. This is what Chris Shelton actually had to say in one of his long, boring question and answer videos. Someone sent me the clip. I'm going to play it in full. It's only like a minute or two. That shows how Chris is not using logic. He is just taking what Karen de la Carriere says. Again, someone who's never met me. Actually, I did see Chris Shelton signing autographs once outside the Center of Inquiry. So it's funny when they kind of alleged over the years that I'm just looking for attention online. I'm trying to be famous or being an actor, which I'm not even acting right now, but it's the idea that they try to paint me off as being some fame whore. He's outside signing autographs, but again, he hasn't met me. He's never in the auditing room. He doesn't know what my relationship with Karen is. Let me just play the clip so you guys can see how someone like Chris is addressing me.
I'm sure you're familiar with Stephen Mango.
Oh, yes.
And he's claiming that she still practices Scientology, like auditing sessions.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's not true. At least according to what Karen tells me directly. And that's what I'm passing on to you guys. I've always tried to take care to say, according to Karen and what she tells me directly, because we are friends, she is no longer practicing independent Scientology. And she has sworn that to me a number of times. So it's been years that it's been that way.
Stephen Mango actually showed like private messages between them two that she still is practicing auditing.
Yeah, I wonder about how the dates, times, and, you know, what's the word? I find Stephen to lack credibility and to be a bit of a drama king. So,
yeah.
You know, like he doesn't particularly reveal the full extent of it all. Mm-hmm. And more importantly, if it was that big of a deal, why not resolve it with her, you know, privately? Why blow it up? And he makes it look like he had to, but he didn't. The sequence of events was all backwards. At least, again, according to what I was told by Karen. And this is a drama that I'm trying to stay out of. I commented on it. Kind of wish I hadn't. And, you know, it's just not my, it's of so little interest to me, the drama that occurs in the community. Mm-hmm. So, you know, all I can really tell you is what I've been told myself. And, you know, if Karen wants to practice independent Scientology, I really don't care.
So again, all these critics have said so many nice things about me over the years, have collaborated with me, or have talked to me privately behind the scenes. But then once I speak about Karen, which is their paycheck a lot of the times, they call me a drama queen, and they start making up all these different concocted stories about me in order to protect their relationship with Karen and to protect Karen at all costs, because they try to make it seem like, oh my god, Stephen Mango spoke up about the ex-Scientology community. That's going to make us all look bad, and whatever the way that they reason it is. But again, they go and try to attack me on Karen's behalf. Karen never issued me an apology. She's never written to me privately. She never tried to reach out to my husband, for example, who was friendly with them. Like, she never made any sort of rectifying thing. And that's why I felt like Karen is either sociopathic, or the number of years she spent in Scientology totally corrupted her mind to always attack, don't defend, don't, you know, people are disposable, like use people at all costs. And she did that with me. She wanted me to release information about Marty Rathbun. She wanted me to go and attack other critics and people that she didn't like over the years. She would gossip privately about people like Kathy Schinkelberg, Alonzo, just like all these random people over the years, because anyone who says something negative about her, she has to try to destroy them and their credibility and make all the other critics look at you, or in my case, look at Steve Mango in the worst possible light, so don't believe me and what I have to say, and they just keep their positive thoughts about Karen. Also on the subject of Chris Shelton, I got this email over the last several weeks. I think it's very interesting. I'm going to read it to you guys. That goes to show you that Karen is possibly paying these people off, and Chris Shelton was potentially or possibly asking for a handout from Karen. The email said, I know a few things that you mentioned. 1, yes, Karen paid for Tony Ortega's book tour. This was a very niche book for a niche audience. Most of Silvertail's books make very little money, so there is no promotional budget. Their total revenue from this book was not much bigger than Tony's tour cost. Karen wanted the PR. It's also why he is in her back pocket. Money. His wife actually makes a decent living working for the UN, but without Karen, he's living in a shack in Kansas City. 2, Karen has never been opposed to Scientology. She's only opposed to David Miscavige and wants him gone. It's all related to her son. 3, she better hope her business never gets audited, because all the support she provides to others comes from it and gets written off as business expenses when it's totally unrelated. She's cheating on her taxes. 4, no idea if Chris Shelton is getting paid for her at the moment, but he has been funded by her in the past. He has no other job, and while his Patreon is decent, it doesn't pay the bills. I was in the room once when he told Karen he gets almost nothing from YouTube and was struggling financially. Melissa doesn't make much. I think he was fishing for blessings. You guys can see, this is what I think in my theory is. Did Tony Ortega have gone on a book tour on his own? Possibly, but not many publishers for small books like that are putting people on, like, say, a 20-city book tour. Karen has admitted that with Marty Rathbun, she gave him an American Express card with an unlimited budget, able to go and run his blog or do whatever he did over those years with Karen's American Express card. Karen has made it very clear she gives donations and payments. I showed it in another video. There's a critic by the name of Corey Andrews, and he ended up exposing all of these messages between Karen, a phone call, Karen Presley, like all these different popular critics, Mike Rinder. He leaked all their conversations, but Karen used to pay him like $100 on PayPal. Even if for someone like him it was like smaller payments, it would keep that person in line. You guys could understand that if someone's saying, hey, make this post on Facebook, I'll throw you some cash. Even if some people like morally, maybe I don't want to take money from this person, whatever, they, you know, a lot of people in this economy, in this world, they'll take payment. Even if it's just something that's, say, for example, Mike Rinder's blog. I don't know, for example, if Karen's paying him donations to his blog, but he could just be doing what he normally does, and say Karen gives him $5,000 a month. I'm just making this scenario up. If Rinder ever wanted to come out in support of me or to reach out to me, Karen would be like, hey, I can pull back all that cash support and pull the rug underneath from under your feet. Karen wants to have that power, so she did with Marty Rathbun, and she's done it with many other people. She wanted to pay Marty Rathbun thousands of dollars to paint Ron Miscavige as a rapist on his blog years ago, and Marty ultimately, according to his blog, said he wouldn't take that payment because Ron admitted to Karen outside of an auditing session. That's how she got away with not having to retain like the confidentiality of like a Scientology session. And she was trying to go behind the scenes, and she's always doing this behind the scenes to pay people off, do other things, because she doesn't want to be on the forefront. She wants other people to do her dirty work for her, so she could be like the queen bee at the top of the castle and making everyone else do all the kind of shady behind the scenes sort of stuff. So again, I believe she could be funding Tony Ortega with donations. Again, he may not know that Karen is the one donating thousands of dollars per month, hundreds or however much money, but again, who else is donating that much money to Tony Ortega's blog every single month? So I think she has so many of these critics wrapped around her finger, even if it's not always financial support. I think she is bored, and I think here in the outside world, this is the only other way that she could have power in the outside world is with these other Scientology critics, because they're the only ones that are going to respect that she's a class 12, that she was Black Flag, or was the queen of Scientology married to the former president. That's how she kind of wooed me into her circle all those years ago. So by having this sort of power and control in the outside world, she could have her own little enterprise of all these other critics that she can completely get to be playing this game with her, so she has more power, control, money. I'm not really sure exactly what her motivations or intentions always are. I've been trying to like analyze like what is she gaining from all of this, but again, when she's attacking Scientology, she has said, you guys have heard me say this, she wants to have the most clicks, the most footprint, millions of views. She wants to be the person that journalists reach. Anyone who looks up Scientology, she wants to be the person that anyone with interest contacts. So if they want to do a news story about Scientology, for example, she can get 5 people and say, hey, these are your sources for the story. I can tell you about this person, A, B, C, D, E. And I used to be on that list. Then she could coach those people to say what she wants them to tell the press. So she would do that to me. She would say, hey, for example, the Daily Mail wants to do a story, like I'll be giving you this person's name, whatever, and then she would kind of coach me and tell me the direction she wants to kind of pitch that story with the journalist. She's very controlling. She knows like Scientology TRs, and she knows even if she thinks it's like she's powerful because she's an OT, all she's doing is manipulation techniques that she learned from Scientology, and she's a total narcissist. We all know that, and she thinks she's like this worldwide famous whistleblower, critic, top-notch dog, which really is not, but just going along with this theory here is that she's using Scientology's control mechanisms to try to control other critics, control the media, control other people. Like she's in, let's like other hemisphere of being this Scientology top dog critic. Right around the time I was speaking up about everything, she had a podcast with Ron Miscavige, whose wife said she wouldn't put it on Ron's lines, meaning she wouldn't let Ron come across any of my videos. They like block any critical things against what they want to believe. I think after being in Scientology all these years, you would say, hey, if someone's telling me someone's a dangerous person, you could be in a cult one-on-one with someone. I could be in a cult with you. You know what I mean? It just one-on-one. With my husband, I could be in a cult with a group of 20 people, or with hundreds of people, or it could be on Scientology's level, right? So you could have a manipulator or a cult-like relationship just with next door neighbor. It doesn't have to be we're drinking the Kool-Aid together and I'm gonna kill off all my followers, for example. And instead of saying, hey, this person is possibly someone we should look into, or if someone's alleging you're in a cult, after being in a cult for so many years, you would think, hey, let's look at both sides. But they will dispose Steve Mango's 3.5-hour video full of information, full of all the proof, receipts, everything you need, just to say, oh yeah, I know Karen, or we're cool, and she promised me up and down that she's not auditing anymore, so I'm going to believe Karen. It's interesting too, because a lot of people's stories when they speak up about Scientology are from either the 60s through the 90s, even as early, or I guess it was still 20 years ago, but say 2000. That was 20 years ago. We still will take their stories as facts, right? We'll still listen to their stories in Going Clear, or, on the internet, we'll listen to people talk about Scientology stories from like before I was born. I was born in 1991. My birthday was July 5th. It just happened recently. And happy birthday to me. And yeah, some of these critics talk about stories before I was even born. You know what I mean? So for critics to just discredit me like, oh, Karen audited Mango like 3-4 years ago, or 5 years ago, however long it was. Okay, but she was still against Scientology at that same point in time. And if she's telling someone who's suicidal, depressed, and wants to end their life to keep paying her more money, if you guys don't see the problem in that, then I don't know what to tell you. Maybe don't watch my channel if you can't see how toxic that is. And if you guys support that or follow that, I don't know what to tell you, because that is honestly disgusting, to say the least. So she audited me a couple of years ago, okay, but allegedly as of a year ago, she was still auditing people on the L's rundown as of September 2019, so just make it make sense, guys. For anyone who missed that screenshot from one of my 3 parts, I'll post it in here again. It says, "It is a good friend of mine, and I knew for sure he was getting L's from her," which is an auditing procedure. "But he promised, and I promised to keep it confidential. The fact that I mentioned it at all was a stretch, which is why I can't give out his name. Others have mentioned cases of Karen delivering auditing before that in the last year, but it was passed on in hushed tones, I think, at the last Free Zone convention in June in Reno." If you're going to try to come for me or make hate videos or discuss me, like, at least try to come with facts. Karen hasn't sat down on video, never issued an apology, and that's why I think that she's just now playing Scientology's fair game tactics against me, because I feel like any normal person, if she did view me like how I viewed her in like a motherly figure, she wanted to like nurture me in some sort of way, you would think that even if I sit on camera and say, hey, this is all the stuff that went down, she would still pick up the phone and be like, I'm so sorry, like, I can't believe, like, I maybe was out of my mind when I was doing these different things to you, in the mindset, like, how can I make it right by you, and to apologize profusely. I don't care about money, guys. I do not care about a refund. She never has to pay me a dime, because that's not what the intention is behind why I'm making this video. It's about that I'm trying to get on my feet in the real world, meet other people, and, like, put a lot of this in my past so I can have a future. I want to go to nursing school, like, I've been thinking about real estate, like, just other things that are in the outside world, because I'm going to do it in my next video. But I had a very close friend of mine who disconnected from me because of this whole situation, because she took the side of the other critics, because it is now the thing to disconnect from Steve Mango, because I am now no longer welcome in the ex-Scientology community for speaking up and publicizing an issue with another Scientology critic. That's why I feel like Karen is just manipulative, why I feel she's dangerous, and why I didn't deal with this behind the scenes. Look at how this would look, guys. If I went behind the scenes and said, Karen, for example, I had issues with the auditing and everything that happened, like, just issue me a refund, or whatever it would look like. I don't know what that conversation would be. What would she have done? The same exact thing. She would have started to have everyone disconnect from me behind the scenes. She would have started sending hate videos about me. You guys would have seen them, right? They would have popped up online. All of a sudden, all this stuff would come out about me. Then if I came on camera and started airing out everything that happened, then what would she do? She would go and claim it was extortion, like, hey, he went behind the scenes and tried to get money from me, and when I didn't comply, he started, making videos about me, right? So if I dealt with this privately, 100% didn't turn on a camera, you guys wouldn't have known the truth. If I came on camera after the fact, it would have looked like I had an ulterior motive or another agenda. I came on camera without even saying her name in the first point, so you can't start trying to claim like it's a money sort of thing, or whatever she's trying to allege, like it's some sort of harassing an elderly person. It's okay for her to go on camera and to make hundreds of videos about Scientology, make thousands of Facebook posts, and to around the clock deal with exposing Scientology and attacking the police, whatever. She can have the free speech, First Amendment right. She could excise that all she wants. If Steve Mango goes and makes a few videos talking about how Carriere ripped him off and manipulated and scammed him and is running an alleged ex-Scientology cult, then she contacts the police to try to say it's harassment or something like that, when it hasn't been that way at all. And she just can't take the heat if she has anyone who's ever called her out, anyone who's ever shown the hypocrisy, the lies, and the manipulation of Karen de la Carriere. She will go and try to destroy that person at all costs. So again, the police are basically, in my opinion, when I was speaking to the detective, he said it's a civil matter, it's between you guys, and I believe that it's not escalating to the next level up in the police. She, of course, wants us to be looked at as some big, major high crime activity when, again, a public figure commenting on another public figure who was scammed and telling my own story, and I have the right to do that. So she's trying to silence me with the police. Can you guys believe that? Like, could you imagine if this was roles reversed and I said the Scientologists were doing this to me? You guys would be outraged. And again, the whole point of this series, I'm basically going to try to conclude it with this, because again, this could be 500 hours of content, is that I'm holding someone accountable. My video series, I guess if you want to say what the theme is accountability. I'm trying to hold Karen de la Carriere accountable for what she did to me. And because of that, she's now going to the police. She's trying to do anything by getting hundreds of people to disconnect from me. She's made hate videos about me. She is trying to destroy me or intimidate me at all costs and never utter her name again. Fortunately, Karen, that's not gonna work by contacting the police to try to silence me. I don't want to continue this in the sense of making tons of videos, going back and forth. I want to focus this on exposing Scientology here on my channel. So unless things like this happen where the police are getting involved or other major serious things are happening that I have to inform you guys of so you're aware to make this public record, then I will. If she's going to continue to go and try to fair game me, just like I would come on camera and talk to you guys about how Scientology would do the same thing about me. But this isn't a channel where I'm exposing Karen. This isn't a channel where I'm exposing the ex-Scientology cult. I very well could go and continue to expose other critics and stuff like that, but it's honestly, this situation was so important for me to talk about that I had to make the videos about Karen, because it weighed on me from being able to move on with my life in a positive direction, because I felt like I was honestly ripped off and manipulated, and here's this critic going on camera. And right around the same time too, she put out a video, instead of apologizing to me, whatever, she puts out a video about the death of her son from like years ago, like a re-upload, right around the same time that I was making my video series about her. So as you can see here, on May 10th, Karen posted the story of my son Alexander Gents, RIP, a Scientology tragedy in 3 acts. So she posted this when people were saying, Karen, like, why won't you address the Mango situation, and why won't you say anything? We're waiting for you to speak up and make a statement. Instead, she tries to post this video, which she very much well knew what she was doing and what type of response she would get if she posted this right when she was coming under fire for the video series that I made on her. Then on June 8th, again, right around the same time as all of this was going on, without ever saying anything about my series that I made on her, Ron Miscavige posted a video with her called Life After Scientology, episode 83, with Karen de la Carriere, How Scientology Reels You In. And he's posted a few of these different podcast video things with Karen, and this is all after others also reached out to Ron and his wife saying, hey, why do you support Karen and have her on your channel after all she did to Steve Mango? So by him posting these videos with Karen was showing his support of her. And again, no one ever uttered my name or ever said anything about what I was talking about in my video series. They just carried on making videos like normal, which I think is very telling of the type of people they are. You guys have to see it's manipulation. And yes, that's horrible, that's tragic, and I feel for her about that, but again, you don't have a get out of jail free card. You know what I mean? I've had bad things happen to me, as we all have. You can't also blame mental health either. So say 10 years ago, something tragic or bad happened. You can't use that as an excuse 10 years later and say, oh, that gives me permission to like get out of jail free card. This gives me permission to rip off Steve Mango for thousands of dollars. This gives me permission to be manipulative or coercion to another person or to any other horrible thing happen. Like, you can't just be like, oh, sorry, something bad happened to me. You know what I mean? Or, oh, this tragic thing happened, so therefore I can go and have bad behavior in the future. It's like if I'm not, but say I was bipolar. I can't go blow up a school and say, I'm bipolar, judge, like unfortunately, you know, my mental health caused me to do that. No, like, I'd be in jail. You know what I mean? So you just have to like understand, like, your bad behavior doesn't excuse you because something bad happened to you in the past, your mental health, like, you still have to pay the price of that. And for me, I want her to be held accountable. I want you guys to hold her her accountable. I want you guys to demand that she apologize. That she accounts for what she did to me. And not just publicly, but privately as well. Like, she blocked me the instant my first video came out, so that's how I knew like what her character was. And seeing that she's just playing by Scientology's playbook on this, just really sad. It's disgusting to me too, that as I'm planning to try to go to nursing school, as I'm trying to gain new employment, like do other good things in my life, to be willing to try to contact the police, try to see about filing charges against me, to try to like ruin my life, even though I didn't do what she's alleging. It's of course her imagination. You guys can see that this person doesn't have any conscience able to do this. You don't have a conscience if you're willing to take money from someone, scam them, knowing that Scientology doesn't work, and then go when I decide to be brave enough to come on camera to talk about, you think in your brain, let me investigate him, let me make hate videos, let me contact the police repeatedly over and over and over and over again about Steve Mango. This is what Scientology does. Not someone who is a life coach, a counselor, an auditor, former friend, whatever. Just like Scientology, you can go and slander me all you want, but you had no problem, you know, peddling me out to journalists, telling me to speak my story on Mangotology or on your channel, and hire me to do video work like you did with other people like Ingrid Gay Pope. This goes on and on. As people see what she's doing to me, the point also is that other people are going to be afraid to come forward. I've had so many people come privately to speak to me, but a lot of people don't want to have this drama in their life. They don't want someone to attack them and fair game them like Scientology does. People don't want to be followed to the grocery store, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to give you guys like that full update on all of this. I'll do another video on how my friend disconnected from me, and I think that'll be it. Thank you guys for sitting by me through all of this. Please leave comments down below. I'm really curious what you guys think about this whole entire situation with Karen calling the LAPD on me. Again, I'll give you guys an update if I hear from the detective again or any updates. I'm going to try to request the police report so I can show you guys what is going on, and if I have any other communications with regard to this, I will let you guys know. But again, I'm trying to move on from the situation, but I will update you guys if I again hear from the police or if there's any other further crazy updates on this situation. I'll be sure to let you guys know. I don't take it lightly being accused of committing a crime, something as serious as extortion, that someone would go and allege that I committed a crime, trying to ruin my life in some way, trying to strong arm me to remove my videos, and using the police as a weapon against me. I don't take that lightly, and I'm not going to let someone accuse me of committing crimes and get away with that. So that's what this video is. It's not harassment, it's not airing someone's dirty laundry, it's showing you guys the type of person that this is. This person is willing to be a Scientologist outside of Scientology. Even if she's not on the E-meter, this person's willing to use Scientology policies to try to fair game Steve Mango, to use Scientology's tactics in order to destroy me. So other people don't listen to me, don't believe me, just like people in the Me Too movement. She's trying to get people not to believe me. She doesn't want people to watch my videos, listen to me, trust me, and wants me removed from the ex-Scientology narrative. Doesn't want anyone to ever see me on the news or speaking up about Scientology, because she can't control what I'm going to say on the news, on the internet, whatever. So now, just like that little Instagram quote goes, you gotta control how other people see me. So thank you guys for again watching all of this. I know this video was long. I appreciate all of you guys who are sticking by me on this journey as I recover from my Scientology experience. Please make sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on your bell so you get notified when I release more videos. Follow me on social media at Steven Mango. I am much more active on social media. I am on YouTube, but I will be filming my next video after I film this one, so I have more content coming, guys. Love you all, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.